Good evening, everyone. I'm Anand Poti, Honorary Secretary of the BSKB Association. We are a 95-year-old charitable trust in Mumbai, and our activities include a community center in Sion and a home for senior citizens in Nerul. With over 5,000 members, we have been interacting on religious, cultural, and social causes. During these testing times, we have been unable to connect with our members and others. We are bringing you a series of webinars. We hope to cover many interesting topics in this series. Today, the BSKB Association presents a knowledge series webinar, An Entrepreneur's Journey of Scaling Up by our own Raghunandan Jagdish, MD and CEO of Nandan GSE and a member of BSKB Association. I request Chitra Melmane to introduce Raghu. Over to you, Chitra.
Thanks,
Good evening, everybody. My pleasure to introduce the dynamic young man, Mr. Raghunandan Jagdish. He is our very own member of BSKB Association. I would like to thank him and his father, Mr. J.C. Kumar, for all the support that they have been giving for our Gokul redevelopment project. Mr. Raghunandan Jagdish was educated in USA with a MS in mechanical engineering from Texas A&M University. He had joined the business set up by his father, Mr. J.C. Kumar, in 2003, and since then has been steadily growing the business. The way of working and thinking is what separates him from the others. At the young age, he has also taken up a mission of skilling India through his venture mygyan.net. Today, we invite him to share some learning of the success and failures during his entrepreneurial journey. Presenting Mr. Raghunandan Jagdish, currently an MD and CEO of Nandan GSE Private Limited and founder of mygyan.net. As he was just mentioning before he came on live, that this is the first time that he will be hosting the show. He has done n number of shows with giving the backdrop support for mygyan.net, but today it's all a pleasure to hear you alone for the first time, Mr. Raghunandan Jagdish. Over to you.
Thank you so much to Anant and Chitra and Hari for hosting me here, and thank you to the audience for joining in. It's my absolute pleasure and honor to be here to talk. So I have a little, presentation. This is it feels so nice. A lot of well-wishers and a lot of friends from the community as well as from my own base to come to here. I'm not going to talk anything about rocket science. It's about life lessons, more about what did I learn along the way and taking that forward. So I do hope you enjoy. Aman, can we have the slide on, please? Great. So, yeah, we are calling it a fireside chat. I'm sorry, there's no fireplace here around, but it sounded good to put up. And that says Raghudon. That's a trademark. That's my name. There's only one Raghudon.com in the world, and that's me. Raghu was far too common, hence I decided to call that name as it is. These are life lessons and being done specifically for this August audience. So here I start across. So what a little about me, in addition to what Chitra talked about. I am, in fact, the slide was made as 40, but then I realized that will be lying. As of tonight, I turned 41. So incidentally, I turn 41 years young tomorrow. I'm an entrepreneur, a son, a husband, a father, friend, boss, animal lover, and a proud Indian. And most importantly, a very, very powerful human being. That's what I think of myself as. Degree from Texas A&M is, of course, part of my academic qualifications, but the learning has not stopped right down to this day. I came back in 2003 from the US to to then help in making India grow. Vajpayee ji used to talk about India shining. I thought rather than looking at it shine from far away, why not come and be part of it? That's where it is. So Raghudon is the alter ego which exists of Raghu, and a lot of my friends knew me there. So like different roles I play as a human being first, and all the other things all around it. So that's a little me in brief. Since I'm talking about my entrepreneurial journey, it's very important. I think you should understand what is it that we do. I'm part of Nandan GSE. It is a 30-year-old firm that my dad started in 1991. We've served 25 countries, more than a lot of customers all over India. We work in aviation, defense, car parking, handling systems, truck loading and unloading. These are all the things that we do. We called nandan.co.in, that's our website. So I think in context, it's very important for you to understand what we do. These are at the heart of all this is basically handling systems where we are able to handle material loads or whatever comes up there. We empower people, our processes are efficient, we are growing with our infrastructure in place, and most importantly, I have a proud team who works along with me. So it's not a one-man show, but a team of 150 people with all their families, my supplier bases, my outsourced parties. All of us together constitute Team Nandan, and we are growing on having efficient processes, benchmark to world class in the world, whatever we are trying to do. And with the leadership team now, I'm pitching this so that we take it across to the next step. We are treading paths which maybe nobody else in India takes up. We are looking at benchmarks which maybe others are scared about. We are setting up standards which maybe don't exist out here in India, because we are basically trying to take India to the world, and that's where we are all about. Right from design to sales to service to production to quality, all these are core processes that are in-house, and each and every one is part of my family, which we call Nandan Parivar. And we've invested a lot in infrastructure, in various processes, and customers do acknowledge us for the standards we are at. We are one of the very few companies who are ISO 9000, 45000, 14000, all the three. We've had testimonials from people like Ratan Tata, or from the Reliance Foundation, from Manmohan Shetty ji, as well as a lot of other people around, which kind of validates what we've started up. This journey started way back in '91 when Dad started this in a humble way. He's still active as a chairman, giving us with his wise counsel. A lot of value systems were established by him, and taking this on, I am a shepherd trying to take across my team of lions into the field as Team Nandan, and we are all learning, we are growing, we are empowering each other as well as the customers, and that's the end result of all this, is so that we can take India into the next level to be a 5 trillion economy, making your company and the country future ready. So that's a little bit about us. It's not a sales pitch, so I don't want to really go on about it, but I thought it was important to set context. Next is about why do we want to do this. So I always felt an entrepreneur's journey is always very lonely, because you see those, what do I see my job as, or what do my parents see, what do my friends see it as. Everybody thinks an entrepreneur is a very glamorous playboy, but that's far from the truth. Along the way, I have had a lot of unbiased advice from my friends, mentors, and coaches who are all entrepreneurs in their own mites. And taking this on, it was always the most important advice we've taken. I stumbled across a lot of learnings during my reading. I read about 50 books a year. Along that, there was a lot of learning that came up, a lot of processes we set up, looking at all that. So this came up from so much of years of experience. So it's not really a training module, but it's more about what is it that I've learned, and I'm in summarizing and just giving it to you. So in a way, if it inspires you, like I got inspired by a lot of my entrepreneur friends, so be it, and we take it on from there. Sharing is always caring, and like I was part of BNI, where they say, you give us gain where you give, and somewhere down the line I will get it back. That's the series of karma. So in a way, this is about giving it there. We want to be a superpower based on the knowledge power we have, and not just on military. And not because we are a country of 1.3 billion people. We will become a superpower if we are a country of 1.3 billion. empowered people, and that's what passionately I believe in, and what a lot of us believe in, and taking it on. We want to make India a $5 trillion economy without fail in our lifetimes. Okay, so I put together 7 learnings. This is again condensed. You can go on and on, but I would like to stick to an hour's session that was given to me by BSKB, and thought whatever value I can add, let me talk about it. So I start with the first one. And if there is only one thing you want to take away from this whole thing, it is that about learning. So do believe that you need to unlearn, learn, and relearn till your last day. It is very important to understand this little graphic. I think a lot of changes that came into me came on the day I stood up on the dais of the Landmark Forum and I saw this for the first time. If all the universe of knowledge is there in a circle, and you cut pies out of it, the smallest pie into that is that the things I know that I know. That is the things you realize that you know already, which is good. But that's a very, very small. This is magnified and shown to you there. The second aspect is the red ones, which is all the things that you realize that you don't know. That is, I know, I don't know. So for this, you can always hire people, you can outsource, you can get things done, you can sit and learn also and get it done. But first, it's important for you to understand that you don't know. And the biggest part, that is the yellow one, is what I don't know, I don't know. This is the one that kind of, hindsight us from the back. When we drive a car, we need to look both at the, side view rear mirror as well as at the windshield. If you keep looking at the rear view mirrors, you will go and crash. If you keep looking in the front, you don't know where you came from. So a combination of both of these is what is going to make you an empowered learner. And if you acknowledge that and you say, I'm a seeker, and you I listen to a lot of Sadhguru. Even at this stage, Sadhguru says, I am learning new things every day, which is something that a great man is saying. It's true. Leonardo da Vinci in the 16th century said at the age of 88, I am still learning. So in the same way, all of us need to devote some part of our day for learning. I devote at least about 1.5 hours to 2 hours of learning every day. And unless you unlearn, you will never learn. And unless you relearn, whatever you learn will not remain assimilated. So it's very important that we push learning into ourselves, make it a habit, and also get it done for our teams, for our people, so that we can then take it forward. Otherwise, you will stagnate, which is a big bit. So the idea of putting in something called mygyan.net, which is what Anand talked about, and I will talk a little more about little later, is about wanting to skill India. That is the aim and the purpose of this. And the lesson that is learned is, if your child can't learn in the way you want to teach, it's not your right to do that. You need to teach the child in the way the child can learn. In a similar manner, MyGyan teaches the people in the way that they would like to learn, and that's one of the big aims of putting that up. I'll talk to you a little more about it a little later. The second big lesson is about finding your purpose and setting your goals. So the very important question is, what is the purpose of life? One of my gurus, Sachin Mahajan, taught me this tongue twister. The purpose of life is to find a purpose and to make life worthy of that purpose. And that's when you live that purpose every day, is exactly the purpose of your life. So it's a big tongue twister, but the truth is, you're born twice. The first is when you're born by birth, that your mother gives birth to you, and the second is the day you find your purpose. Because when that happens, you become a changed person, and you start focusing on things will start attracting towards you. In the last 2 years or 3 years, I cannot begin to tell you that when we start and sit and plan, people start coming towards me, resources start coming towards me. I thought, think about something. There's a book called The Secret, written by I think Bronda. So there again, it is the same things what the Vedas taught us, is packaged in a different shape and put forth to us. But the point is that when you sit and meditate, and then you want something really hard, and the whole universe will conspire and make sure you get it. So do that. The writing it into your journal, getting it into your calendar is like magic. I keep telling my boys also, that if you want something to be done, put it on a calendar. The dates will manifest itself automatically. So go that on. And the moment you have purpose, you will realize you can start taking bigger and bigger risks with your own life and your organizations. So just to show you what is our vision summary, since I'm talking the talk, this is something we reissued recently, where we know our core values. consultative approach and problem solving for customers, innovation through continuous learning, honesty and integrity in every relationship, commitment to excellence and speed. These are the 5 values with which Nandan GSE, each and every one of us lives. And this is what is driven to each and every guy when start right from the time he joins to he keeps learning. And if you see the purpose we've defined for ourselves, it is to empower every life we touch to do more purposeful work so that they can reach their full potential and reach higher than they ever imagined. So every day on an everyday basis, we live this purpose. And we always put up saying, there are 4 magic words with which we work. You have safety, quality, on time, and khushi. So with this, we are able to get it across and have a fantastic team who's absorbing all this. It's a young team. It's a team that is believing in the cause that I believe in. And these are all ingrained from the values that my father taught me. So in packaged in a different way, but in the right way, it is exactly that. The high quality and reliable solutions for which we are known for throughout the country and now the world, it just multiplies. That is where we are, going ahead and doing this. Along with the same purpose, we have this thing about goal setting. A lot of us live life like a wandering generality, but that is not the way to really live life. Once we have a goal, we set it. Surprisingly, in school, they never teach us goal setting. In school, they never teach us a proper curriculum of goal setting. But this is the difference between a great guy and a normal guy. If goals are set, if they're written down for the next 10 years, your big, hairy, audacious goals, then for the next 3 years, for the next, 1 year, for the next quarter, what is it for the month? This is exactly what will transform an organization. So just as a preview, I'm letting you know on August 15th, on MyGyan, you will actually have a course called a 108-day transformation challenge, which is going to be a step-by-step proven methodology for you to set and achieve your goals. This is going to be done along with Professor Krupanand and Ranganathan Seshan and me. We are launching this course out. We'll let you know more about that soon. So with this, we're talking about the purpose, the goals. We have the third part, which is about a very important aspects as an entrepreneur. It's very difficult to take a step back and look in the mirror. We always overestimate us, overestimate ourselves and underestimate others. That's the reason why, as bosses, one of the first ego trips that we need to take is we are always right. But that's not necessarily true. In today's day and age, like Ratan Tata says, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk together, along with the herd, along with the team. Because people make an organization, and organization is the one that can grow. This is not a money lender business where you can just do one thing at a time. If you need to build a team, you need to work with all of them, and we need to work as a team. So we need to learn to delegate. We need to find out what is the core forte. So me as a, maybe the head of the department, as a CEO, as an MD, I can do maybe accounts better than anybody else. I can do maybe design better than anybody else. But is that what a customer will pay me for? Or is it that I need to set up processes? I need to set up, I need to go to sales. I need to go to big ticket closures. Those are the reasons why money is, put on the table. That is called core forte. So 2 years ago, I used to love designing. I could sit on designing 3D modeling because I could see vividly in my own mind. And I used to go and interfere with my design team's work. So in one of the decisions I took 2 years ago, pretty much around this time, was that I bought a Mac. I used to hate the Mac before. I used to always say that they're overpriced and whatnot. But I bought a Mac primarily because SolidWorks cannot be installed on a Mac. So now even if I want to design, I cannot design because my computer doesn't allow me. But I realized that by doing this, number one, I empowered my team because I delegated that responsibility to them. And number two is I am able to focus my time on other things. So these are small steps that as an entrepreneur, we need to understand and we need to, take it forward there. So the core forte search is very important and it's an ongoing search. I think the search that you have at the age of 35 as your core forte could be different from what's at 40, what's at 45, what's at 50. It all changes. So you need to keep learning and evolving your core forte. That is where, again, the goal setting methodology comes in, where I have a mentor, Manoj Chugani, who's from Hong Kong. He's part of this organization called Scaling Up. So there, what he teaches is that every once in a quarter, you need to review your one-page strategic plan. We normally used to think you set up a goal and you just go ahead for that. But no, you need to review it to see that whether have you set a goal too low or too high. If it's too high, then you need to up the ante and increase your efforts. If it's too low, you have a chance to increase your goals and take it up further. So you need to spend time on this review, which should ideally happen once a quarter. And dividing between productive work and transactional work is one of the biggest things that we can do as leaders and as an entrepreneur. The fourth, I'm again sorry that a lot of the elderly people who might be listening to this will not like it. But since childhood, whether it's school, our principals, our parents, all of us tell us that we need to be hardworking. We are given the example of going on and telling that you need to work very hard, you need to slog your ass off. But that's not true. Show me one real rich guy who's earned money because he was slogging like a donkey. So the same thing, a horse runs a race for 2 minutes, but he's got an air conditioned room. They take him around in an air conditioned car. They give him badam, pista, and the best of the grass. They import grass and they give it to him. And whereas a donkey is working the whole day, maybe 14 to 16 hours a day, toiling away, but he gets to eat dry hay. That exactly should tell you the thing, that what value are we giving? We are paid for results and not for the efforts that we are putting on. So the story that be slow and steady like the tortoise, work within your limitation, do number of hours, never leave the office before the boss, else it is shown that you're incapable. Those are all not true. You need to be like the rabbit. You need to do it with the steadiness of the tortoise. In today's age, you need to combine both of them. Maybe there's a new animal you need to make, but that's exactly what it is. So what you need to understand is smart work means productivity. You need to ensure that whatever hours you put in, whether it's 2 hours or 3 hours, I think there's a trend going on now saying they call it the 4 hour work week, not work day, work week. So there are these self-styled, Californian gurus who keep writing books, and they talk that you work for 4 hours, you can make enough money to sustain yourself for 3 lifetimes. I don't know about that. I'm very, very far away from that. But I think even if you work 8 hours a day and if you work it with productivity, you can do miracles, both for the self and the team. Overworking your team also is not going to help. So I'm trying to do it such a way that we compress the working hours, look at ways in which you can make them more productive, because in a way that comes and pays off for yourself. Habits are everything. So whether it is about waking up early, whether it's about planning your day, exercising, whatever it is, habits is what it works it out. Till last year, I used to wake up at 5:30 a.m. This year, I took a call saying I want to wake up before 5. I want to be part of the 5 a.m. club. So 4:45 was the time I set myself. So today, I mean, I'm not boasting or whatever. I actually wake up 2 minutes before my alarm, which rings at 4:45, and I'm up. I'm fully refreshed, and I can sleep at 10:30, 11, and still retain the energy through the day. That is because I'm living a life of intention. I'm living my life with planning. There is a little bit of exercise, meditation, all these things go into making your habit. So it's very important for you to have a coach. If you see any world class athlete, if you see any world class businessman, they always invest into a coach. A coach is not somebody who can teach you how to do your work because maybe you're best at it. A coach is somebody who gives you, even Shivaji Maharaj had a coach who was a sadhuji, who was supposed to not fight. But Shivaji took his lessons and he was using that for his guerrilla warfare, aggression, and whatever else. A guy who's, in the back, always there. He's your sounding board. He's taking it forward. So I've been proud to say that I've had multiple coaches through my journey in life, and I'm, with all of them, they're like, my gurus. I would fall at their feet. Few of them are even younger than me. That's the funny part of this whole thing. A coach doesn't necessarily mean that a 70-year-old guy can be better for you rather than a 25-year-old guy. So if you find that somebody is there whom you can talk to comfortably, whom you go back and you feel it's better, that you felt much better, that's where it is. So my sales coach, Munish Nair, he's actually younger than me, much younger than me. I yap and yap and yap with him. He might not even give me a lot of advice, but then the sounding board, the fact that I'm talking in a structured manner, the fact that I have somebody to talk to and vent out my frustrations or do whatever gives me ideas, and then I go on and I'm able to do much better than where it is. So that's why it's important to have a coach. You need to have a role model. This is an aspect which is not well seen. For us, our role models are taught to be cricketers or are taught to be film stars, but that's not necessarily true. A role model is somebody who has values that you would want to live your life by. So with this, I would like to share, a few role models of mine, four of them in specific. My first and biggest role model is the one who's always close to me, my father. He's my only boss. I have not worked under anybody yet in my life. He's my only boss, my father, my philosopher, my friend, and my guide. I've seen him come up, his story is inspirational in his own way. Maybe one of these fireside chats, we would want him to give his own story out of his own mouth. Coming from a very, very humble, poor family from the temple town of Katil in Karnataka, he did his diploma in automobile engineering because that's one thing his father gave him because he was a teacher. He wanted to give him education. So my dad used to be sitting in the temple, serving that prasad during the day, studying, going to school, studying in the night. He lost his mother at the age of 6, so he was pawned off to a few relatives' house, whose houses he used to stay in for a few years or months, and then go to the schools. After that, he completed his education. I think he got his first full pants maybe at the age of 17. Before that, he was just in his short pants. But then always he kept on, fighting on. He came to Mumbai as an engineer, no jobs available in 1961, and he worked in a petrol pump as an attendant there for 6 months with the dignity that this is the dignity of work. And then he got into a company called Sign Garage where he worked for 18 years. So right from growing in from a young engineer, he came up to almost like a plant head. He took full aim in whatever he was doing, whether it was about learning designing, learning hydraulics. He used to go to his boss and say, why can't we do this? Why are we importing this? Why can't we make it on our own? And his boss also gave him a free hand to do whatever he wanted to do. That's how he grew, and that's how this happened. Suddenly, out of the blue, after 18 years, he went to work and he saw the gates were shut. The police was there, and the union had put up a dharna. There was a lockout declared. So, fortunately for India, the world, as well as me, an entrepreneur was born. He decided that instead of working for somebody else, let me go and be an entrepreneur and set up something small in my own way. So in the backyard of a friend's factory, in like a 10 by 10 feet, okay, not meters, 10 feet by 10 feet space in the backyard of a friend's factory, he started with 6 people. He started doing small jobs. Like I know an uncle for whom he did, loft of his factory. Even today, I go and talk to him. I see that place with so much pride because no work was big or small. That was the first work that my dad did. Even today, it is seen with so much pride, and it's still sustained 30 years on. But that is where the learning came from, and he said, why can't I do it? So in this, lot of lessons that came across from him. So he is my number one role model. He gave me, I mean, he didn't give me acres and acres of zameen and jaidat, but he gave me my education. He sent me to a fantastic school. He took care of me. He took me, I mean, when I wanted to, after my engineering, I wanted to work in L&T for 2 years. I even got campus placed. He recommended to me saying, why don't you complete your education and come back? I went to the US, came back. I taken a loan, and fortunately for me, I was able to, get a on-campus assistantship, and I could make the decision to come back because of 9/11. Nothing was working there, and I decided I'll come back and I'll make India grow. So from there on, he's given me a free hand in terms of learning from my mistakes, which I think I made more than successes, and going forward. So good advice to a lot of entrepreneurs: please groom your second level if you want to do it. The best way you can do it is let them be independent and let them make their own mistakes and take it forward. I was able to learn more from my mistakes there than learnings. I think I'm ready to take it up to the next level, and the big hairy audacious goal that we put up is to be a 3 billion rupee company and within the next 5 years. And this is my promise that I said I will do it within his lifetime. And my team is empowered. My team is all going towards it. So that's one of my biggest role models. The second one is Ratan Tata. No need to even tell you who he is or what. I had a chance meeting in 2010 when I got called for a meeting with somebody in the Tata group. I was not even told who. And after reaching there, I was told, hey, this is for Ratan Tata. We are building him a house, and we want a car lift for him. We are giving you a chance, only 10 minutes appointment. And they want to buy it from the US. We'll even let you know that. But since, you're already doing work for Tata Group, we thought we'll give you a chance. So that 10-minute appointment actually turned out to be a 2-hour one. In that meeting, I was amazed. I was told by these guys saying he's a very busy man. He will not see more than 10 minutes. So I made a very quick 10-minute presentation. He asked me, do you have something more to show? I said, yeah, can I show you? He said, yeah, sure, why not? So he actually saw all the work we were doing for aviation, for defense, for material handling, and what innovation we were showing, etc. And asking questions. I mean, even today I can't, I get goosebumps because he asked me, Mr. Nandan, will you have coffee or tea? I mean, I think that is that memory of mine. Whenever I need to feel empowered, that's the memory, it goes back. I get charged up. At the end of the 2 hour meeting, with a lot of questions from him, he wanted safety systems put in so that his dogs don't get hurt. We made 2 car parking systems, and they're still, there today at his house. And even today, when I write an email to him for anything, at least within 2 days, I will get an acknowledgement back. I think my dad's dad must have done some good karma that I had this opportunity, and my role model is somebody whom I've, touched, and who has empowered me. He wouldn't understand what impact he's made on my life, but I've been empowered because of that one project. Money wise, it's not much. It's just about 40-50 lakhs, but as a value for us, it was immeasurable. He's also on my vision board. uh, One of the role models teach you values. So the value of humility is something that he has taught me, and I'll never ever forget. In one of those appointments that I had with him when we were almost finished with the installation, he had a few points to make. So I was there waiting for him for a 6:30 appointment. I generally go before time. So I was there and of course with Ratan Tata, go before time itself. So 6, I was there and waiting for him. 6:45, he comes up, which is okay, not a big deal. So by the time Raju was driving, Raju is his driver. He was driving his car, and before he could park and come to a standstill, Mr. Tata opens the door himself and comes shuffling towards me. Okay, he was already an old man then, and he comes back and tells me, Mr. Nandan, I'm sorry, I'm late. I mean, again, this is not something that you would want out of India's most biggest busy guy. He becomes 15 minutes late, it's okay. But a man of his caliber saying that shows what is humility and how does he value other people's time and money. He said, if you don't mind, can you spare another 5 minutes? My dogs have been also waiting for me for the whole day. Can I just go and say hi to them and come back? I literally have tears in my eyes even when I talk about it. I've been to managers who are not even GMs. They make us wait for 2 hours at a time. And when they begin the meeting, they don't even say sorry. But here is one of the most respected and the biggest guy for 15-minute delay apologizing. So I thought from that, pretty much through that time in the last 4 or 5 years, I value my time. I do not make any of my suppliers or any of my people wait. And same thing from a customer side. If a customer makes me wait too much, I would walk away because it should not impact my other appointments which have been done. I will reschedule with the customer. So learnings, yes, this is what it's about. The next role model is Richard Branson. If there's any guy you want to read biography, if there are two people you want to read biographies of, Richard Branson and Elon Musk, read all their biographies because not a single biography will do justice to the whole story. So I think I've read about 5 or 6 Richard Branson's biographies. Let's Do It, Screw It, Losing My Virginity. These are all actual titles of his books. But the Virgin brand has more than 300 brands worldwide, and he makes it fun. Anybody who works for Virgin loves working there. So this statement, if anyone offers you an amazing opportunity and you're not sure how to do it, find ways. First say yes and then find ways to do it, is one of the governing principles of my life. I was meeting up with Mr. Manmohan Shetty. All they wanted was a small wheelchair lift, and he showed me little this one. What is that? A little clip that, hey, I want something like this. Can you make it? I said, why not? So we made a ride called I for India, based completely from that meeting, and I said yes. From that equipment, which costed a few lakhs, we went to like multi-crore jump. I have never ever made a theme park ride before that, but then we worked very, very hard to make it happen. And that's what gives us confidence, saying that when we sit across a customer, we can tell them very quickly, saying whether it can be done or not. I have another mentor named Bharadru. He says if anything can't be done by others in India, I would always send them to Raghu because we'll find ways that Nandan can do it. So while it sounds interesting and funny, we've actually done a few of those projects like that. The last man is somebody who I think in our generation will be revered on almost as a god. So for me, all these 4 people, if I had to take a few god photos and go to an island, I have not seen that God who's or God Almighty who's always there looking after us. And when I meditate, I feel a connection. I think I don't need photographs or idols to touch them. But with these guys, the fact that I can see, I can listen, I can talk, I can read about them gives me a lot of inspiration. Elon Musk is a guy whose purpose is to save mankind, which is, I don't think anybody else can even fathom what it means. This man set up Tesla Motors, Hypercity, PayPal, your tunnel boring. He's got a company called the Boring Company. He's got Hyperloop. He's changing the way we do everything. And even then, he's saying, I still got a long way to go. He's done fantastic things. So I think if there's one inspiration in today's age, it is Elon Musk, where he inspires us to take and challenge what we can't do. Because the moment I say I can't do, it is I'm putting up a impossibility in front of me. The moment I look at things that I can do, I will learn how to do them. So role models are very, very important. The fifth out of seven, I know it's a lot of talking, but that's a one-way monologue out here. So feel free to put up questions for me, whatever you want at the end. I'm willing to answer them. The next one is called price is what you pay and value is what you get. So this again might seem like, when you look at the word, it might not make any meaning, but it really means a lot. This is both in buying and selling. If you're a guy who always buys cheapest, your customer will always expect cheapest from you. So unless you value yourself, your company, and what you do and what value you're giving, the customer will never ever value you. So this used to be the punchline in a lot of my signatures before. Customers used to say that, hey, we always buy L1. So go, screw yourself. But a few years later, the customer will come back to us saying, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. I bought that and within 2 years it's not working anymore. Can you help us out? I said, sir, when we make an equipment, we make it for life. I will convince you the value. I can sell you on the value. I can teach you the value. But I cannot put a gun to your head and tell you buy it from me if you're looking at only the cost and looking at L1. So whether it is defense, whether it's material handling, by the grace of God, there are enough customers. Hence, we don't hesitate in walking away from wherever the customer only wants L1. We don't do that because for me, customer is not king. A king never bargains. So a bargaining customer is definitely not king. For me, my stakeholders, my value systems, my employees are as important as my customers. So if it means I'm going to lose and the customer is the only one who wins, that's not acceptable to me. I want this proposition to be a win-win-win, where the company wins, my employees win, and employees and stakeholders win, and also my customers win. So that's there, and we walk away. I mean, again, going beyond this, you can walk away from wherever you don't see value is derived for you. So whether it's your relatives, it's your friends, it's your company, clients, customers, your marriage also, feel free to walk away. If you don't feel value in wherever you are, just walk away. There will be something written for you elsewhere where the value is taken. But if you're there, live life to the fullest and take it on from there. Right? The next one is again another sorry for whatever we talk about our learnings. From the childhood, we are given a small piggy bank and we are told, put money into this. A penny saved is a penny earned. Save money. This is how you'll grow rich, etc., etc. But the story is different. If you keep that piggy bank as it is, it will not grow by itself. Because unless you need to invest it somewhere. In the previous days, people used to think a house is the last investment you need to do, but we all know that in real estate, what are the kind of returns you'll get. So today you will need to invest, you will need to build assets which will appreciate, you will have to invest into yourself and team. That is the biggest investment. If you ask me, put money into education of your children, send them to the best schools, give them the best books, give them the best toys, put them for the best classes. That is the biggest investment you can do. A house will never ever give you the investment back. The house will never ever give you the kind of returns that you will need compared to what education will give you. So go invest into yourself and at the team and keep growing. Never see luxury goods as goals, because luxury goods or materialistic things are never ever goals. If you see the Maslow's pyramid, it goes right at the top. So a pen which may be costing, let's say, $1 million, the real value of the pen is not $1 million. It's not that it writes anything different from what. But the fact that the guy wants to own it and pay $1 million, That is the value that is there for it, and that is what drives him maybe to earn 100 million, and he compensates himself by buying that 1 million pen, right? I also do not, I mean, that's a story again which I took a cue from JRD Tata. So JRD Tata had a friend who used to always lose his pen. So this guy came and told me, JRD, both were Parsis, JRD, B, star, 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 I always lose my pen. How is that? You know, I need to do something. Can you tell me where can I find this pen that cannot get lost? So JRD told him, yeah, sure. Go to Bombay. There is a pen shop there which is selling pens like Waterman and Lamy. There's a pen there on the display which is costing 10,000 rupees. You know, this is in 1988. Go buy that pen and it will never ever get lost. So this Parsi Baba was very happy. He's like, wow, okay, let me go. So he went and he bought that pen. And few years later, when he bumped and he told JRD, you know, hey, look, JRD, I still have the pen. You are absolutely right. But till today, I have not understood what makes this pen so unique that it never gets lost. So JRD laughed at him, saying, you know, Dikra, if you wanted to, even a 5 rupee pen, you would have conserved it and it would have not got lost. Here, the fact is that you gave value to it, is the reason it did not get lost. It's got nothing to do with the pen. The fact that you gave value it is the one we had to pay. So, same thing out here. When you talk about investment, people say that we will go do free courses, we'll go to look at YouTube, I will download PDFs and I will read, I will do this, I will do that. Trust me, by stealing from somebody, the knowledge will never ever assimilate into you. वो बोलते हैं ना चोरी करने से पछता नहीं है. This is exactly that. Invest into yourself. Go for one of the best coaches you can do. Go invest into different kinds of training. And again, just because you have one training doesn't necessarily mean you need to not read the rest. So if you see in our scriptures, we have the Bhagavad Gita, we have the Lalita Sahasranama, we have the Ramayana, we have this, that. So we didn't have one book which was like the definitive guide to living your life. We have so many books. That is because you spread it across. Even in mythology, there are so many gods because they themselves realized that one god cannot have everything because then it will look incredulous. So they make gods in our own, you know, shadow. They put imperfections into them and they made them in such a way that each one of them had a bit and pieces of, you know, various things, and that's how it went across. So take the leap of faith. Trust me. Trust anybody else you know. Go read about Warren Buffett. Till recently, the guy used to carry a feature phone. He just bought an iPhone, you know. So again, the world's second richest guy did not get rich because he bought the iPhone and stood in line for it. He bought rich because he valued conversation. And even today, he reads 5 hours a day. A man who's 70 years old reads 5 hours. So chase wealth and not money. There is a difference between the two. So go ahead from that. You cannot grow by saving. This is a very important lesson that you want. You will only grow rich by investing. Investing. The number one investment you can do is on yourself. Number two is on your team. Number three is you do it, do investments for the short term, for the long term. I'm sure you can go even there. Go to an investment advisor. You are not the best guy. You can't read 10 newspapers and decide what to do. Put money in taking advice. Advice is always important, and pay for that advice. So I had a friend who was an insurance advisor. She used to always take commissions. But in one of those, you know, discussions, somebody told her, why don't you become an investment advisor, charge money upfront to the client, and then don't take commission from the investment arms. So everybody said, you're mad, nobody will do this. But the fact that she asked and the fact that she did it, I mean, I was one of the first people to give her that check, and the advice she gave me has literally saved us lakhs and lakhs of rupees in risk towards insurance, towards investments, etc., which would have not come from we've had people who were doing commission-based investment advisory for us for long years, but we've never ever got this kind of advice that came across from her. So she herself was amazed, and the day I told her, there were tears in both of her eyes, saying, "Now we see the value of where this come." It was not a big amount; it was a consultancy check for 10,000 rupees. But trust me, it saved me lakhs of rupees. I cannot get into more details, but whoever knows about it knows the story there. The last, and again, compared to the first one, which is about learning, this again is a thought that should be there in your mind every day. That is, you should live each day of your life like it is your last. I do remember, I read Fountainhead for the first time by Ayn Rand when I was in the 8th standard. I read it like a storybook. And then I found it very interesting that there's this guy, Gail Weynan, who's one of the world's biggest media barons. Every day he wakes up in his life, he goes and stands. He came from the ghettos, okay? He came from the slums and he grew and he made himself up. And every day that he was there, he woke up, he stood in front of the mirror with a gun on his head, and he used to think, is today worthwhile for me to live on this earth? What can I do? And he used to feel yes, he used to keep it back in the drawer and then live his life with full aggression. The first time I read it sounded amazing. Maybe the seventh time I read it, you complete a line run and it's from there and next year so the basics is there. I tried reading Bhagavad Gita, but not. I think Bhagavad Gita is the one which has got the biggest things there. But here you need to understand that when you come into this world, you're dying. Doctor makes you ulta and gives you cry, but he laughs around you. But you need to live your life in such a way that when you die, you need to go laughing and the world will cry around you. Cry not because, they think that, oh, this guy is gone, or cry because you left a mark in so many lives. You left a mark in their memories, in what you empowered them to do, and that's the legacy that you leave behind. Your legacy is not those edifices that you leave, the money that you leave for your wife or children or whatever that is there, or the endowment trust that you leave behind. The memory is the legacy that you leave behind and what you leave behind. And that's unique only to you. And that will stem from your purpose. So when you die, whatever day it is, whether it's today or tomorrow or after 20 years or after 40 years, live life like there is no regret. Write your own eulogy. So I took one of Brian Tracy's exercises where he says, write your own eulogy. And again, I can promise you that will be the day you will cry again, because if that is what you see the world sees you at, you will be a changed man or a woman. Live each day fully and intentionally. Begin each day. I think that is way too obscure to hold a gun to the head to every day. But in the morning, please journal it, saying, what will I do today that will change my life and the life of people around me? So that's an answer that only you can give, and you need to give it only to yourself, nobody else. So in short, this is about seven, learnings, seven stories, seven aspects with, learning stories, whatever. There is a lot that can be given across, but I thought, there is time to give. So I thought about putting in something called mygyan.net. I founded this last year, and during the COVID times, we actually went on strengthening this further and further. And like magic, things started multiplying more and more. I call it my personal social responsibility. This is a term I got inspired by Harsh Mariwala ji. He set up something called the Ascent Foundation, and he calls it PSR, where he's so I decided, why should I wait till I'm 60 to start doing PSR? Or why should I start waiting till I make my $1 billion so that I can start giving it towards philanthropy? Philanthropy begins from today. So this is my PSR to start. Why? Is because I believe we need to grow India by skilling India. We are not a manpower oriented country that will ship out cheap labor and we will become rich overnight. No, we need to harness our 1.3 billion people so that each one is empowered to grow something big and small. And that's how you do it. How do you do it? By online upskilling, like you've been seeing in these videos. I was just showing you a little snapshot of how the site looks like. It is a custom built site that I've conceptualized, talking to a lot of people. I'm trying to get it so that it benefits the trainers. They can come on board with us. It benefits businesses because this is a one-stop shop where entrepreneurs can invest into quality education for their people and it will grow. I walk the talk. So all my people have been learning onto this. Our induction training is out here. Our skills growth areas are out here, etc. And seekers. Anybody who comes on will always take something back from this. By and large, a lot of courses are either free or they're very, very cheap to take. Cheap, again, I'm talking about in terms of value, because we cut all flab. We didn't want to make 100 people organization that can take in a lot of overheads. We built this company with a lot of lean systems. We built it in such that passionate people came together and we all got in our ideas. We set that up there. I have a coach from Hong Kong who charges more than $1,000 an hour. He came and he did a system called the SWT for us for free because it's COVID times. He's talking about doing a larger goal setting section for free. We have somebody who normally gives coaching at about 5,000 to 6,000 rupees an hour. decided to give a course which is online for $1,500, which is Mr. Session, whose thing is there. My sales coach, because he's been constantly giving us information and knowledge, he decided to put up something called Sales Manthan online, where people can go online and see things at their time and stuff. So by and large, the idea was that how do we use technology today? How do we use the good intentions of a lot of people today with the aim of skilling India? So Raghudon is just a very small, cog in this whole wheel. I'm just doing my part of karma to give it on, because I can't or don't want to wait till I'm 60. I would like to spread whatever lessons, and I'm not a teacher. I am definitely not a teacher who would like to become a trainer on my own. Not at all. I would like to inspire whoever gets inspired, that's fine, but I think there are better gurus in the world who teach their domain. My idea is to get all of these guys onto a common platform and put them up so that we can get going. So this is my all the earnings, all the stuff we are doing, and Nandan per se is definitely going guns, great guns. I'm always available. Like, I have a lot of mentors who are maybe 50 times, 100 times bigger than me in turnover, but even then give me, maybe 1 hour and over a quarter. It's a big deal to get from these guys when you want to sit and talk. You prepare, you make up your charts and get going. So mygyan.net is one place where you can really find that out. Nandan.co.in is our website. You want to do anything with handling systems, come to me. We are the one-stop shop for that. My email ID I'd gladly give out. It's raghu@nandan.co.in. And WhatsApp is not necessarily a great way, or call is not a great way, because I live by my calendar. So best way is that you would email me, put it up on Telegram. So on Telegram, there is a thing called t.me/mygyan. If you connect to that, you will get connected to the mygyan community. We give 3 times a week nuggets of posting. These are fantastic wisdom things. And when you mail me, yes, again, I am a little lax on mails. I get too many mails. You might spend a day or two getting a reply back, but I will reply whenever that happens. In short, this is a little bit of the, I call it Raghudon Shares or Raghudon Speaks, whatever you might call it. That's a hashtag that I own, because it's always important to make up an identity. There were lots and lots of Raghus in the whole world, but there is only one Raghudon. That is because if you go to raghudon.com, that's my website too. So when I say trademarked, it's not just from a business perspective. It's my alter ego. So it's whatever I say runs. Right through college, right through growing up, and even now, a lot of people do know me as Raghudon or Don. And this, in short, is like I had promised an hour. I think I've completed a little before time, so that we can have question and answers, and we can have a better conversation with you guys, because I would like to know what more you would want to hear, so that we can continue more on that. I hope it is not too boring, and with that, I'm open to question answers.
Yes, Raghu, extremely interesting. Your entrepreneurial journey was extremely interesting. And what you said, like, this is more of an anecdote. I mean, like, you are talking like a monologue, but it was so interesting. And your 7 stories, it was like our 7 colors of rainbow. You brought in so much color to the whole presentation. Very interesting anecdotes, very interesting stories, and especially your inspirational stories. There's so much that even we got to take away, learned from what you learned from your father. Definitely, Mr. J.C. Kumar has been an inspiration to lot many people at our association also. So extremely very good. The whole presentation was very good. What we got to do is a lot of learning. See what we are taking away. I don't see a lot of questions that have come in. I suppose there's so much of positivity that you have spread that everybody at the end of the day has got the meaning of what you want to say. So
Right.
we are still waiting for the questions to come. But meanwhile, I want to say what is there for us as a takeaway. There was a lot that you said that we have to continuously learn. That's something that is really very inspirational. The passion is what drives us to do what we have to do. So that passion, if we are not having, just pushing that passion. There's a lot of humility that we have learned from your story. Smartness, so that's another thing. like how you talked about that hare and the tortoise. So work smart. And procrastination, that's one thing that personally I do a lot. I just procrastinate. So that little bit of thing that you said, just jot down in your calendar and you will do it. So that's another takeaway from me. So I'm sure a lot of us who have heard you today have got a lot of takeaways from you. You have been an inspiration. You are young and dynamic and smart. And I like that Raghudon. Yes, you are the Dawn. So I don't know. I would like to ask you as to how you told that there are a lot many Raghus, but how did that Dawn come there? Is something that I want to ask you personally.
Okay, so there's a little story that comes up. I was in first year engineering, and I studied at Somaya. So when I volunteered for the festival there, and I took two responsibilities of security and infrastructure. Generally, people get put into either one, but I took responsibility on two counts. And then when I was part of security, there were these drunk gundas from Ghatkopar who tried to enter in, and I refused to let them in. So at that point of time, I was actually alone. And by the time these guys, there were few of the girls, they went around to call for the rest of the security people. There were six guys out there, and I stood. I stood with them. They threatened. They did whatnot. I said, "You guys are not going to come in." And then when these other people came in, these guys ran away. So then the general secretary at that point of time put in a name. Arey, tu to Don hai. So then when I was just creating my mail ID, instead of Raghu was of course not available, but Raghudon at gmail.com, Raghudon at hotmail.com, all of those like were available. So I said, okay, that's a patented name that came
So
up.
to some extent, your physique also must have added to that. That that being a Dawn and just standing there must have been one impression to those people. Very
Well,
good.
I don't think. I think if it's just about physique, all those bodybuilders with rippling muscles would have been, the great dons. But if you see all the dons, none of them really do this. It's the way you speak, what you speak, and the way you look that actually matters. So I mean, hand-to-hand fight. I don't believe in it myself, but I can resolve any kind of fight without getting into it. So if
Yes.
need be, yes, I'm a taekwondo brown belt, so it will not go back from a fight, but it's not required.
So you've somehow kind of done everything in the field, whether it is this or that or whatever. So you are still learning also. That is what you said. I'm still in the process of learning. We have our Haridas Bhatt here who would like to ask you a question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hari, hi.
Raghu, that is nice to hear that your first role model was your father. Now, the generally people face that basic problem of generation gap. How did you
Correct.
overcome it, and what is your take to the youngsters who wants to follow the parents' father's business? How they can cope up with the generation gap and still grow?
Okay, so like in any generational, shift, and especially when the first generation is self-made, the second generation wants to join. There is a big identity loss because the second generation lives in the shadow. You can see Amitabh Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan as a big example. Maybe Abhishek Bachchan by himself would have been a good actor in his own might, but was never ever given the credit, there. So it took me a long time to get away from that shadow, saying, "Hey, I am also capable of doing this on my own. Why not?" And it becomes a very tough challenge to take that up. But then to give credit to my dad, last year he handed over at the age of 72. He said, "Okay, you be the MD and CEO now." Earlier I was only the CEO, not the managing director. So I told him, "But if you give me the name, I will require the full authority. Then I only need to report to you, not to come to ask you." But as a generational shift, it is difficult. I mean, always there will be struggles in terms of this happening, but there are more learnings than whatever, and you need to take that in stride and take it forward. So I think my advice to every guy or girl who joins his parents' business is that number one, don't inherit anything, because the moment you inherit something, it is just like one munim leaving and the next munim coming and sitting at the galla. That's not what will give us happiness. But when you take over, make up with your own niche in what you do, put up into your own way of getting things done, set up processes, because generally the first generation is not very strong on processes. They'll always be hands on. But if you learn from those, set up processes in their mold, and then continue it on, build up a team, start taking coaches, because first generation will never take coaches. They always feel they know everything, you know. Uh, so from there, start taking coaches, get help from outside. Because if inside we have everything, then we would go to a different zone at a speed which is fantastic, right? It is not going to happen. So you need to invest into learning and training. You need to spend that time and money and effort to take it up, to learn, to imbibe, to learn leadership. Because leadership, I am a proud non MBA, but I think I have learned and read more from books than can ever come from outside. But one of the core lessons is about leadership there. How do you inspire a team? How do you build value systems? How do you get it into a zone where people are not coming to work only for the salary? The same purpose that drives you should be driving them. Those are all lessons that you need to learn, and I'm sure that in different ways, our parents, when they set up the company in the first generation, they have loyalists who will live that, but they will never be able to articulate it. If you tell them to maybe stand up and build up a team, it might not be in that level. But in today's day and age, we have technology that we are using. I know a friend whose father did not speak to him for 2 months because he signed the check for the SAP. They wanted ERP within the company, and his accountant told him that they already have Tally ERP. आपका छोकरा खाली फोकट 10 लाख खर्चा करके SAP ला रहा है. So at that point of time, my friend and his father didn't speak to each other for 2 months. So these are very, very tough choices that second generation will always undergo, because the first gen always thinks that they think they're right, which is okay. But again, in the words of Marshall Goldsmith, what got you here won't necessarily take you there. So if your goal is to go, way up high, and you're out here, it becomes difficult how to take it forward. But I think to take things into stride, constant communication is very important. Taking help of a coach is important there. I've had help of a lot of coaches to take this journey through.
One question, just offshoot of that. How do you like to introduce yourself? What do you like, to be called as Raghudon or Jagdish Kumar's son?
No. So Raghudon doesn't come up into work. In fact, if this goes to a lot of my clients, I hope they don't get scared dealing me. I'm not that kind of a gangster don, but it's just a loving name that my friends gave it to me. I'm known as Raghu. That's about it. Raghunandan is a full name. So, but yeah, I'm mostly known as Raghu there.
So not the gangster Don. The Amitabh Bachchan Don is something that we will.
He was a gangster.
That's the popular. No.
I'll vouch all your statements because I've seen you as a schoolboy till date. So now over to Chitra. Next question from you.
I suppose we are not having many questions today.
No, I think I got a few questions here that were asked. So I think let me put that up. One was good. I think it's a good thing when few of my coaches are also online and seeing it up. So like Sanjay Sinha asked, what is your extraordinary we need to identify? That is definitely there. He's a coach with whom I was working with recently, where he was telling me that your goal that you're putting up is too small, and you need to widen your horizons and taking it forward. I also believe is yes. Even Manoj Chugani, who's a guy with a hairstyle where he doesn't need combing, who was just on the screen. So he's from Hong Kong and a scaling up coach there. So even there, productivity versus activity. Definitely, I think one of the big lessons that I heard was to slow down to speed up. So I realized that working too hard will only bog you down, will create more stress. But the moment we start working smartly, where we start working with a team, that is where my learning comes, that I overestimate myself and underestimate the team. We work on that and get this going. So the next question is Gautam is asking, saying, when did you first find the need to change? That's an interesting question again. Change, even from the time we are born, we always want to change. But I think the big thing that goes across is change versus transformation. Maybe declaring out in the open forum. I took about 5 years ago, I did a course called the Landmark Forum. I'm not an evangelist, I'm not preaching, but that was one course where I think it transformed me, where over 3 days, 14 hours a day, we were talking, thinking, no notebook, nothing, just everything was going across, where you go from either a breakthrough or you get into a breakdown. Either way, I think that was a time when I felt that, what I'm doing is not enough. I'm just going by default. This is not enough for me. I think I'm capable of more, because what I need to do is what I'm capable of, which only I can assess. So unless you stretch yourself, unless you put yourself for greater peril, greater targets, you will never ever reach there. So that's that. Another question from PCN Rao. How do you connect your... Am I audible?
Some problem with your
Am I audible there?
audio.
Okay. These are the two styles of leadership. Am I audible or not? One of these styles method influence believe storytelling this. Am I audible? Am I audible there? I am not too sure whether you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, okay. So, I think the question is about, okay, what is the technique to overcome procrastination? It's just about action. The moment you start taking specific action, only at the time you can eliminate procrastination. Am I audible?
Yeah, now you're fine. Now you're fine.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I think there was some thing wrong in the network out here. Okay, Nimit asking me, how do we see India from here on post pandemic? I think a good question. So I'm not a soothsayer, I am not a predictor, but what I see is among the own work of people that we are in, the media is painting a very, very dismal picture. The media is putting it as if, like, the pandemic is actually closed the entire world, and we have to think and we have to start going back to the Stone Age. I think that's not true. This is giving an opportunity, because crisis is always always open to opportunity. So if people are going back to basics, if people are able to go back to see what is their core strengths, to talk to their customers, to talk to new customers, look at opportunities for make in India. We are talking to people all over Europe. We're talking to people in the US, inviting them to come over to India and make it. And we do have the value systems. We have the good quality manpower and processes that can help this happen. So I think it is very, very important that you stay focused and get going in a forward manner. So systems applying to hospitality industry, catering and banquets management. Again, this is beyond the realm of my immediate expertise. But what I would say is that as a leader, you will need to get down to your business model. You will start reaching out to your customers. You will start talking to your people. You will draw up a plan with scenarios. One of the best things I can recommend to you is read a book called Scaling Up, which is by Vern Anish. It talks about a OPSP, one page strategic plan. Look on the net and you'll find it. Start documenting those where your this thing is there in terms of getting into action. So I'm sure banquets seems like a very bad situation to be in, but I'm sure that something or the other will come out which is going to be out of the box thinking. And for all you know, one of your waiters might be able to give you that idea. So speaking to your people, talking to your people, understanding and engaging with them, that is a very, very important aspect of you to take this on. So yeah, presentation Anil Patilji. Yes, I think my team will post this on mygyan.net/bskba, and this is very much a part of putting it. The recording will be available in the URL that is mentioned down. So like I mentioned, I'll put in my coordinates too down there. I can see
And
some.
one question over here. About the labor, everybody is facing the problem of labor. People not
Correct.
available, people who has migrated people not coming back, etc. How are you coping up with it? And what is your advice takes on that?
Okay. So I think from Nandan's perspective, we were keeping a constant communication open with all our people. Today, everybody has a smartphone, so we have a WhatsApp group where everybody is there. I did multiple hangout sessions. Maybe for the first time in their life, they went to something live and they were watching it. But today, thanks to Geo, everybody has a smartphone, everybody has internet, and I was able to address all about 150 of my people at a time. I was talking to them. I was getting my leaders to talk to them. I was doing webinars with my leaders. I was doing coaching and training. We invested into a lot of training and coaching, even with my leadership team all the time. And surprisingly, with this, 85% of my strength was there when we began. So by the time 6th May we started operations, people actually started calling us saying that, sir, I will do whatever it is and I will come rushing back to the factory. So a lot of people didn't go back to the native place because we convinced them, saying in Bombay, at least if you stay, there are healthcare facilities. You can stay, and we are going to start working very soon. Because we also work for important industries like the gas, oxygen supply industry. We do work for catering and aviation. So we had permission from the government as emergency service systems to. So the idea was that we inspired them and to convince them, saying that, look, do you want to get a dole? Do you want to get a salary by default into your account, or do you want to work for it and earn for it for the company? Because if the company is shut for a long time, how can we afford to keep paying your salaries? And even if I do pay, we paid them the salaries, of course, whatever time the company was closed. But we convinced them, saying if we keep it closed in a continuous manner, the company itself will not survive. How will they get their next bit forward? So I think a lot of people did understand. So today we are almost at about 93% of our strength across our two factories. That means about 122 people of us are working. Touchwood, by the grace of God, we take full precautions. We ensure we do social distancing. We are wearing the gloves, sanitation. We've invested into whatever is required to get going. And again, by the grace of God, we've been able to convince our value to customers, where they see it as an opportunity that instead of manual labor, they can invest into machines and they can actually save money. So we are helping customers to get more productive. We are helping customers to improve their safety. We are helping customers to be more, safety prone and get into security zones. And in turn, they are able to empower their people. Like one example I would like to give, since we have some time. When we talk about my core purpose is to empower every life we touch. This doesn't necessarily only mean my employees. This also means my customers, my different stakeholders, and other things. I remember this incident that happened to me somewhere lately. I had gone to visit one of my clients who's one of the big cement plants. We had done a truck loading system for them. Simple. It was a telescopic conveyor that was able to load trucks and do it in a better manner. So when I was walking towards the equipment to meet the boss, this guy comes running towards me. So he's like the typical Mathadi guy who was, wearing a vest and whatever else. So he comes running to me. He's like, "Thank you, Sahib." So I was like, "I need Marathi, of course, okay." So I said, "For what?" He's like, "You converted me from a Hamali to an operator." So that was a very, very big impact that we see, where small steps that we take, we might not even realize. It might be a 25, 30 lakh equipment, but the empowerment that it can do at my customer's end, I spoke about it to my customer, that this is what happened. Even his HR didn't even know about it. This is something that became a story. They put it as a punchline in their sustainability index matrix, saying investing into an equipment actually got my people to think that rather than manual labor or hamalis, they have now become machine operators. So just imagine what kind of empowerment, a little step came out. This is where it inspires that even if my GAN impacts a little bit of people, it will impact millions of people. I might not be a Narendra Modi or whatever to give a speech, but in our own way, this is our karma that we are able to give. I am able to take across. I'm a platform. Ultimately, I'm not here to teach or preach. I am here as a platform, taking the trainer to the seeker and making sure that they do that by a way that doing whatever. Yeah, Manoj, I definitely understand that. Thank you.
And now one more question to you, Raghu. Now we are told that especially in your capital goods industry, the tenders are not coming, orders are not coming. How much, how long you can sustain with the existing order book, and how you see the future now?
So this good question. I think, like I said, the business plan, what worked BC cannot work in AC. I'm sure that by now each of you have gone to enough webinars. It is before Corona and after Corona. So everybody has to change their business models. Otherwise, you will not survive. That is a guarantee I can give you. If you think your business will function in a similar manner like what it was functioning in January, exactly. I think Manoj tells it perfectly there, saying businesses that reinvent themselves will get bigger than their previous version. So even for us, what we are thinking is, I am telling my team that today we can actually grow bigger than we ever imagined. That is now put it into our purpose statement. So my thing is, if people are looking at opportunities, if people are looking at the right place, if people can look at their strengths, weaknesses, and trends that are happening in the industry today, nothing stops you from taking the next leap. And maybe you change your entire business model. Somebody who's in manufacturing could do something else. Somebody who's doing something else could do anything else. Somebody who's in the hotel industry might end up doing some third party thing. But if you have the intention to change and to grow and to thrive, 100% the world will conspire, along with you. Like Shah Rukh Khan said in the movie, Om Shanti Om, जितने शिद्दत से तुम चाहो पूरी कायनात will help you. मेरा हिंदी इतना अच्छा नहीं है. The whole universe will conspire to help you to make it happen and to make it true. But the aim is that you need to believe it with your heart that yes, I deserve it, and yes, it happens. So with my team also today, in fact, when we put it up to my sales team, right from trying to survive, we are trying to grow. We are trying to say that we want to order every day, forget about once a week. So we are getting new orders, we are able to deliver, we are getting collections. So I don't see any reason why. But if I was functioning in the same way like I was doing before, I don't think it's possible.
Right. Raghu, you are one of the rare species who has come back from US after studies. So, what is your take? Did you benefit out of it? And what's your take to the message to the people who doesn't want to come back or who is thinking whether to come back or not?
So again, good question. The first month I came was terrible for me. I literally every night I used to go to bed thinking, "Sala, idhar kyun aaya main?" Because like in the US, a lot of things are taken for granted in terms of the standard of living, in terms of accountability. So here, when within the first month itself, I have to handle a government employee who I wouldn't even hire as a peon in my office, comes to my thing and says, "This is the fine that you need to give," and this and that. Then I need to call him Saab. It is very very frustrating. No, this thing to I am blatantly truthful about it. I have gone and told this to chief ministers. If given a chance, I will go in front of the prime minister and also tell the same thing, where if you want the youth of this country to go, you do not need to give out doles. Give opportunity and let us perform. Get the fuck out of the way. Apologize my French, but that is exactly what should happen, what the government should do. Let people perform. Let youngsters come and perform and get going. So if that doesn't happen, they will of course be frustrated. Out of my batch of 73 people, almost 45 of us went to the US or other places, and out of them only 4 of us came back. And out of these 4, 2 of them went back within the first year itself, and only 2 of us sustained back. So now, of course, a lot of people say they want to come back, but I'm proud that I came back in 2003. I am part of building India into what it is right now. That gives me the kick, saying we have empowered 300 families to do what is happening and where it up, comes up.
If I
That's
can
also.
ask, if I can ask you some economic questions, do you think what government is doing is good enough, or you want more from them, or are they shying away from giving anything, or is sufficient?
Right. So that's also a question I think there has come from the Nimit. Nimit Tanna has asked the question there. I feel that the government is limited to what revenues it's got or what revenues it can muster. The COVID loans that they gave out to MSMEs, that has reached us. So 20% of your working capital limit, which they were giving across with no questions asked at a good interest rate, I think is a good one. They need to start talking about Make in India in a bigger way. Right now, it's lip service. It feels very, very, very bad. I have written a 7-page letter to the Prime Minister, which I have not got a reply for, saying, how can you talk about Make in India? How can you talk about Made in India dreams or whatever when you're not even able to release the money that is owed to MSMEs? In this public forum, I don't want to name, but there are enough PSUs where I have about multi crores of rupees stuck, and for frivolous reasons they will hold it on. I hope that they do see this and they know who they are. But the question to them is saying, if you feel that COVID is impacting you, just imagine how does it impact an MSME who's working on loans, who's working with people. People are sustaining on a day-to-day level. How will it work? And we do not want doles. We do not want freebies. We do not want anything. We want a right, which is you give us access to capital, which we deserve. You give us access to work, which we merit, and you give us the money on time, which we definitely, definitely deserve. I saw we saw the accident that happened on the crane in Vizag. By and large,
Yeah.
we will blame the guy who made it. But if you go back to the story, again, I could be wrong on this, but this is a reading I have got from somebody in Vizag. This was commissioned 2 years ago, and the money was not paid to the vendor. Hence, he never went and commissioned the equipment. He lost a lot of money. I'm sure he's gone bankrupt because that crane must have costed 10 or 15 crores. How can you sustain with that kind of an outstanding from a PSU there? He must have gone out of business, and then they must have found some local guys to come and commission it. And unfortunately or sadly, this accident took place. So safety is compromised at the effort of trying to conserve money flows, cash flows. But cash flow is the reason why our country is at which it is today. And even our MSMEs are fighting with each other. What we don't realize is when two of us fight, the customer takes benefit of this. He takes things at the cheapest price, which the guy is not able to give. And at that point of time, everybody loses. The customer loses because he's compromised on safety. I have lost because I have lost an opportunity to be of supply to the country. And that guy is lost because anyways he's not going to make money on that project because he's tendered it for so cheap.
One last question I'll
So
ask
by
you.
and large, I think, yeah.
Yeah, one last question I'll ask you. What about the international business? Is there is a degrowth, or do you feel there is more opportunities? AC after COVID.
So I think China has definitely taken a beating as far as their reputation is concerned. I have a big, nice color picture I put on my own, office that shows in circles. It shows the size of manufacturing in the world. So China is $400 billion. India is $512 billion. That means we are 1/8 of their size. So if China's business of even 1/20th comes to India, it will actually increase our output by 4 times. That is something where people are not understanding. This is a time when you need to write to people worldwide. Our embassies need to get going saying, hey, look, we are available out here. We can make systems for you. We can do this and we can do this at a good price. Not necessarily cheapest. I always tell my customers, especially in Africa, my price is going to be between that of a European price, a Chinese price, and an Indian price or another price is in between. But the value I will give you all the safety systems, what is there in the European products. And if you put all that into my products there, my value I give you is better than the Chinese. So the moment we start competing on value, I think that people will definitely grow. And like again, pitching back, do remember to see www.mygyan.net where you can upskill yourself as well as your people. The good part is your HR can buy this account on their name. He can invest. Courses are as cheap as 500 to 1500. There are quizzes. There are multiple things that go on so that you can track and you can use it as an incentive for your people.
Raghu, your positive outlook and the way you positively put the things is really interesting, because in the COVID era, we are hearing all sad things, and you are really showing us a silver lining in the dark cloud. Very nice hearing you. Chitra, I am through with the questions. If you got any, others,
You were
I
talking
can.
regarding Maigyan. I wanted to ask Raghu. You were talking about something that on August 15th you all will be showing. You all will be talking something about on August 15th.
Don't be the paparazzi. That was just a preview. We will come with more information soon.
Okay, okay.
You
Anyway,
can't give
thank
it
you
out
a
right now.
lot. It
It's
was
no. So
very
okay, just to give you a little hint, what we realize is goal setting itself is a very complex process where people are not able to do it and invest into it. Secondly, following on that is even more difficult than that. So we are using technology to set it up in such a way that you can set up goals and over 108 days you can track it and you can achieve them. So that's all I can
okay.
say at this point of time. Otherwise, my team will not like it.
We are looking forward to that August 15th program and wishing all of us are wishing you a very happy birthday and may you have a wonderful year, wonderful scaling in your own business and may you achieve all your goals and your dreams. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much
much.
for this. Thank you so much for this talk.
Thank you to the
Happy
audience for
birthday,
your
happy birthday in advance
presence
to you.
and seeing this recording of this.
Yeah.